Welcome to Watch Review Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going over there?
It's going pretty good, man.
You're sitting about 2 feet away from me.
That's it, right next to your mini fridge.
Does it look familiar?
It does look familiar.
Oh, I wonder why.
How have you been this week?
I'm happy to be drinking alcohol and recording this podcast right now. Let's just put it that way.
I hear you. We're recording on some new gear locally.
Mm-hmm. What did we see this week?
This week we're doing a double feature. We went and saw a animated film called Coco, and we saw another movie called Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Yeah, both. I think both good choices, as it turned out. Certainly a very eclectic combination to be pairing into a single podcast episode. But you know, when there's enough good content out there,
you got to watch it all.
You just got to watch it all. Exactly. So, all right, news. Well, we got to start with the obvious part 2 to our discussion that we started last week regarding Avengers: Infinity War. The trailer came out.
Holy shit!
And well, we actually just watched it again. For me, I would say that's probably close to the 50th time I've watched that trailer personally. I imagine it's probably not quite as excessive for you, but holy shit, I believe is an accurate description of what that trailer contained.
It's going to be bonkers, man. It's going to be complete bonkers.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things in there. Thanos is finally arriving.
He's walking around doing things now.
He's walking around, looking a little bit Bruce Willis-esque. He's foregoing the armor for this entry, and he doesn't need that. He's got some Infinity Stones to play with, and
he's plopping them in
the
gauntlet.
Yeah, it looks like he's not having any trouble with the likes of Iron Man and Spider-Man. Certainly from what we can tell from this trailer. So good on you, mate, for getting rid of your armor, shedding that baggage and just saying, you know what, I'm just going to take the Avengers all by my lonesome with my bald head.
That's it, just kicking ass.
So, yeah, it looks really cool.
What do you think about that spider suit?
I didn't love it when we saw it at the end of Homecoming. I enjoyed him being like, no thanks, Tony. I'm just going to stay with my regular suit that you made for me. So, I kind of had already known that he was going to wear this. We saw it in the potato cam footage that leaked from, I think, San Diego Comic-Con of Infinity War. So, I think in practice it looks all right. I like the glowing eyes. I think that's something to me that stands out as something being pretty cool about it. But for me, you can't beat the classic red and blue Spidey suit.
Especially since they animated the eyes in the
that's
the
true.
Homecoming.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
I don't know if we'll see any animated eyes on this one. I didn't even think about that.
Well, hopefully Doctor Strange kicks some ass. I want to see him doing some...
Well, you say, he has to, though, right? You can't take his character backwards, because you saw him in Ragnarok just being OP as hell.
Yeah, he's just throwing people around and everything else.
And that was light years beyond kind of where we even saw him at the end of Doctor Strange. So I feel like he almost has to maintain that sort of power level going forward. And it would make sense to keep him. You got to make everyone in this, there for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even your Hawkeyes and your Black Widows, it's kind of just what are these guys going to do against the big purple alien that's, tossing around Iron Man and Spider-Man like ragdolls? So I think everyone's going to get a little bit of a power boost or something to do, even if it's not outright punching. Certainly Thanos, they might be fighting his Outrider army, or they're fighting one of his, the Black Order. You saw Proxima Midnight throwing a bearded Captain America in this, which is pretty badass.
You think do you think the Hulkbuster was there to fight baddies or the Hulk?
Well, I've kind of seen some speculation on this online that Bruce doesn't want to Hulk out, so Tony might be lending him the Hulkbuster to just Hulk out in. Obviously, we see the Hulk as well, so I don't know. There's a lot of things in this. There's just so many characters in this running around and everything, so really I'm just curious to see how much of a balance there is with a lot of these characters. I'm sure that some will get more prominence than others. That's always kind of been the case, even in Civil War, which is basically Avengers 2.5. Obviously, Captain America was kind of the focal point, and we got certainly plenty of Tony Stark / Iron Man in that as well. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. And then, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy shown right at the end of the trailer to make their presence known, make sure that the audiences know, hey, we're going to be in this movie too.
I guess that's who picks up Thor.
Floating through the cosmos for some reason. Yeah, looks really cool. Coming out in May. Not too far away. I think we might get another trailer when Black Panther drops in February, which I think would be probably the smart thing to do when I guess probably the obvious thing to do as well.
Yeah, keep that hype train rolling.
I'm hoping that we get an IMAX version of this whenever we see Star Wars. Yeah, in a couple weeks. I think that'd be pretty fucking awesome. So, other things in the world of Disney. Disney's doing a live-action Mulan movie based off of their animated film from the late 90s. And they found a actress to lead the way. It's going to be Lu Yifei, who was a Chinese actress. I know I'm not familiar with. I took a quick look at her resume, and it looks like everything she's done has been all Chinese language films. And just from like quickly glancing at this, there's nothing in there that sticks out to me as anything that I've really seen or really even heard about. I mean, honestly, a lot of these. So, oh wait, no, Forbidden Kingdom. I think. Wasn't that the Jackie Chan one? Yeah, I didn't see that, but I remember that coming out.
At least you've heard of one of them.
Yeah, there we go. She was on that. Perfect. But she looks the part, right?
Yeah, she could play some Mulan.
I think probably the best thing about this is that, all right, they got someone that's actually Asian. But moreover, they didn't just get someone that's Asian, they actually got someone that's actually Chinese.
Right.
So they say usually it's just kind of, well, they're Asian's good enough. Or, even then it's like, even then that's kind of a question mark, but
they might be learning.
Yeah, so I think this movie could be. I mean, I think Disney's done a good job. I think with their live action adaptations of their films so far. I mean, I don't know that. I don't know that any of them have really added anything that you didn't get out of the animated versions. It's
a remake for another generation.
Yeah, and I enjoy it from that standpoint. I said the Beauty and the Beast one, Cinderella was really good too.
Yep.
They're well made, they're well crafted, they're visually enjoyable, and
the music was really good in Beauty and the Beast too. Mm-hmm. They did a good job with that.
Be our guest, put our service to the test.
We were dancing that one. What was that? Beauty and the Beast? No, that was Gaston. I think we were dancing.
Well, it's from Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, but yeah.
Mulan's got good music too, though.
Yeah, I haven't seen Mulan in ages though. Personally.
I got that on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I would love to get more Disney Blu-rays, but they're always just so fucking expensive.
They never go down in price.
Yeah, like it's the same thing with Disney. Anything like sale? Huh?
No.
What? Or Disney? We don't put things on sale, and perhaps that's the inherent danger of Disney owning everything is. Everything just becomes that much more expensive. Fox is like, fuck, we're bleeding money. Fire sale. Disney's like, no, we're good.
Don't have to put anything on sale.
Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to that. What else do we have here? Batman Ninja.
Jesus Christ. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't see the trailer until a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. That shit looks... I don't know what the hell's going on in that movie. I'm definitely going to see it.
Yeah. So this is basically... I don't have the list of the names in front of me, but basically it seems like DC has gone out and sought out some of the top creative talent in anime in Japan and said, we're going to stick you in the same room. We want you to make a Batman movie, an animated movie. And so we saw like a 2-minute trailer of it. I think there's some footage floating around from Comic-Con, which I hadn't heard anything about it until I saw this kind of just popped up on the internet a couple days ago. I think probably because of the trailer release.
Right.
And so I watched that. And it looks completely insane. But I think it looks really interesting, though.
No, it looks cool.
Like, I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on.
Set in, like, feudal Japan or something.
I kind of vaguely read up about it. It's basically, what if Batman was a samurai, kind of.
Yeah, that's the whole premise.
Kind of the whole idea behind it, I think. And
but at the same time, he had a bat bike.
Yeah, that's true, too. He did have that.
So I don't know if maybe... I don't know. I think there might be some time action going on or something,
Yeah, it looks totally insane. I'm sure it's not intending to be 100% realistic in its depiction of anything.
No, but it's...
but I like the animation style as well. Yeah. It looks like it's like a 3D animation, and it looks cool. I like the Joker design. I thought was
Grodd was in there.
Yeah,
yeah, he looked.
Or was another gorilla? I assumed it was Grodd. I'm like, that's the only DC villain I know. That's a big old gorilla. So
they pan over to him, and he's just sitting there in his samurai armor. Like, oh my goodness, it's crazy.
Yeah, it looks pretty out there.
When's it coming out?
I think next year.
Next year sometime?
Well, I guess we're getting to the point where next year is like a month away, technically speaking, but sometime 2018, I think, is what's known about it. I'm not sure.
Are these DC animated? Are they usually... They're not... I know The Killing Joke was a theater release.
No, I think this will probably be a direct-to-video release, yeah. Right. So, it looks cool.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it whenever it comes out. Yeah. All right, last bit of movie news for the week. we got a new trailer for All the Money in the World. So this is the Ridley Scott film with Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Williams and formerly Kevin Spacey.
That's new guy ain't got no makeup on, man.
And
he
now
looks like
what?
A normal man.
Yeah. They brought in Christopher Plummer to take on the role of J. Paul Getty that was being portrayed by Kevin Spacey in some horrible makeup.
Kevin Spacey looked bad.
He did. I mean, he looked terrible in it, and it's obviously there's reasons that we've already kind of elaborated upon in the past on this podcast of why they've kind of separated themselves from Spacey and have gone into a different direction and basically reshot all of his scenes. And
the trailer looked like it was shot for shot and almost the same.
Yeah, well,
trailer,
I mean,
just without Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I think there was like a TV spot that they did that was very similar to what one of the first trailers showed, and then they did another actual, I think, just straight up full-on trailer, which was more heavily focused on Marky Mark's character.
I got you.
Than it was on, I think, on the Kevin Spacey character. But yeah, I mean, they decided to, whether or not it was a case of we don't have enough time to put him in stupid makeup, or if they're just like, Christopher Plummer's actually just an old guy. We'll just keep him looking like an old guy.
Why couldn't they do that to begin with?
Yeah, that's for me the thing that kind of is crazy to me. And Kevin Spacey is a great actor. Like, we're not going to take away from his accomplishments.
No.
To say that he's not a great actor, I think it's still the right decision to get him the fuck out of here and just everyone for the kind of distance themselves from him. But Christopher Plummer is an equally talented actor too. So it's not like there's some sort of downgrade in acting here or anything
Ridley
like
Scott
that.
might figure out it might be just easier to hire good older actors for older roles.
Yeah.
Instead of
who'd have thunk it, right? Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is I'm way more on board for this movie now that I don't have to be distracted by watching Kevin Spacey.
It actually looks kind of compelling,
and that was prior to Kevin Spacey, being outed for his
he's just
transgressions.
Distracting looking.
Yeah, and it's I hate when they do that. It was the same thing that he did in Prometheus with Guy Pearce. It's just, what are you doing?
Just an old man.
DiCaprio and J. Edgar, same thing. It wasn't really Scott. I think that might have been Clint Eastwood.
Oh, okay.
I think that was Clint Eastwood. I could be wrong.
I don't think I've ever saw that.
Yeah, not good. Anyway, just cast old people. It's fine. Old people need jobs too.
That's it, man.
Why are you taking all these jobs away from old people? Anyway, I'm much more on board for this movie now.
It looks like it could be something fun, or not fun, but it looks like it could be interesting.
Yeah, and certainly enough for me to poke my head in the door, assuming MoviePass hasn't gone under by then.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't.
Knock on wood, guys. All right, moving over to the television side of the house, we got a couple of renewals over in the world of Netflix. So one is very unsurprising and something I actually thought had already happened anyway, but Stranger Things.
Very nice.
Renewed for season 3. I think everyone just assumed that it was renewed because it's just massively popular. And
well, I know they said that they had
the Duffer Brothers had been talking about, we're going to do like 4 or 5 seasons of this. Clearly they had been planning on it getting renewed. But fear not, they will be doing another season of that. So I'm excited about that.
You think we'll get more of that monster, the big bad from season 2?
The Mind Flayer?
Yeah.
He looked like he was trying to poke his head back into the real world. So I want to be a real boy. That's what he said. So the other Netflix show that got renewed was Mindhunter.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they
picked
take
up
that.
For a second season. Yeah. Not surprising, I think, either, because I think the way that it ended definitely left it on a note where they were clearly pushing ahead towards the second season. And I'm pretty sure, again, the same thing, I'm pretty sure David Fincher has already been talking about, this is what season 2 is going to be about. I don't remember if we talked about it when we talked about it on our episode or not, but, he's definitely been kind of talking about where he wants to take it.
He's enjoying making it then, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess for me, these are kind of non-news in some sense because I think I just assumed that they were getting renewed anyway. And Netflix has usually been very generous about their renewals, but I'm happy.
Yeah, both those shows are excellent.
It's good to see confirmation on both, I guess, and I think we both look forward to the new shows that Netflix is bringing out.
2018's panning out for some good television.
That's for sure. I think it's just a common occurrence. There's just so much there.
I guess you're right.
You gotta, you can weed through the crap, and there's just always going to be something.
Every year, there's
Legion
good
earlier
stuff.
this year was just fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Whether it's stuff coming back that we know is going to be good, like we can probably assume Westworld's going to be good. We can probably assume Game of Thrones is going to be good.
Then you got
but there's just enough new Expanse.
Yeah.
There's just enough new shows coming out that
you're bound to find good stuff
one of those
somewhere.
is going to land.
Yeah.
Right. So another one that may or may not land, we'll see. Netflix is ordered a 20 episode 2-season order of Sabrina based on
Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
It's a new version of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I only knew Sabrina the Teenage Witch as the sitcom show with the talking black cat.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything other than that? I mean, is it based on something, or?
Yeah, so Sabrina the character actually originated from the Archie comics.
Oh, okay.
Which Riverdale on the CW was based on the Archie comics. Archie Andrews is the main character of Riverdale.
Okay.
So there's a whole big Archie comics universe, which Riverdale has kind of, it's more of a, teen angsty type spin on the Archie comics.
Right.
But interesting enough, this project, this Sabrina project, was supposed to be, from what I understand, also going to be on the CW as either a spinoff or something from Riverdale. It sounded like they might do a backdoor pilot situation the way they did with Arrow and Flash.
Right.
I'm curious to see how that plan is holding up now that this is going to be on Netflix, because Riverdale, I think, is outside of the U.S. There's like some sort of Netflix deal that they have going on there where I think it airs.
Oh, okay.
Like it airs on TV and then it's on Netflix within a couple of days or something like that.
Right.
The deal is not the same way here. I think it's the same as the other CW shows where it goes up like a week after the finale. So I'm curious to see if they're still having any plans to have the CW Riverdale and have this Sabrina show on Netflix have any sort of meaningful connections. I think that would be pretty cool, although the CW show hasn't really hinted, from what I've seen so far, at any sort of mystical going-ons.
What is I don't want to get off on too big of a tangent, but what is the premise of Riverdale?
Well, the first season's of murder mysteries is mostly what it's about. So it's Archie's our main character. Now he's just kind of in high school with Riverdale High School,
right?
With all kind of the other main characters we know from the Archie comics. So Betty and Veronica,
right?
Jughead, Cheryl Blossom. And then one of the kids, one of the students gets murdered. So it's kind of just about them kind of trying to piece together who done it. Yeah. That's kind of the basic premise of the first season.
Okay.
And then it's just kind of set to the backdrop of love triangles and
CW
very attractive people. It's chock full of the CW-isms, certainly, but that's kind of the general thing. They describe it as like a Twin Peaks-esque type spin on Archie, and I don't think that's quite accurate, but
Twin Peaks is pretty out there. It's pretty...
No, yeah, it's not anything like that. I think they just like, look, there's a murder, and we got to figure out who it is. That's its connection to Twin Peaks.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So
we'll see what happens with Sabrina.
That's gonna be cool. I think they're basing this off of some more recent Sabrina comics.
Sabrina's got her own. Okay, right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole Archie comics has their own, like, there's a few different comics out,
right?
There's not just an Archie comics. I think there's a couple others. So this one's the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, I think, is what they're kind of working from for the basis of this show. So I'm curious about it.
Well, I know I watched the sitcom show when I was
I'm expecting something a little bit darker, certainly, than the Melissa Joan Hart version of Sabrina. But I remember enjoying that back in the day. I think when did that air?
I was young. I mean, it had to be what?
I'm looking at the article here, 96 to 2003. Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize it aired that long. But I remember watching it when I was younger and just enjoying it. But it's been so long that I don't know how it holds up. Or I don't know anything like that. But it actually says here this is a dark drama in the horror genre. So yes, very different than the old one. I mean, it could be fun.
See where it goes.
Yeah. All right. What else we got here? All right. Okay. So this is.
Goddamn this news.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about this news at all.
Yeah. So American Gods over at Starz. Clearly some drams going on behind the scenes. Two of the showrunners, Michael Green and Bryan Fuller, have exited the series. I know they're in the process of working on season 2. I don't think they're filming anything yet. I think they've kind of just been working on scripts and stuff like that. But having two showrunners just kind of up and out of there, to me, suggests that something's up. I don't know if it's meddling from above or, what exactly the case is here. Creative differences, the oft-quoted creative differences.
Right.
I mean, the timing on this is just kind of, it's not good. I mean, season 1 seemed to be pretty well received.
I liked it a whole lot.
So I don't know that we have a whole lot more details on kind of what's going on here, but, okay, no, I lied. No one, quote unquote, no one is addressing the reasons behind their exit, but we hear that the split may have been over the series budget.
The season one was pretty. There's a lot going on in season one.
And it sounds like
a lot of CG and stuff. So
I guess in terms of meddling, it sounds like the powers that be wanted to cut costs. And
how was the show received? I mean, did it land well?
Critically, it was well received. I don't know how much it was watched, but it was also, it's also on Starz and any sort of those paid programming shows outside of HBO. You kind of have to look at it with a different sort of metric, I think, than you'd look at your broadcast shows. So I still haven't watched it. I still do want to watch the first season, but this definitely kind of leaves me like, this doesn't bode well for a second season. Certainly, I mean, it sounds like they're still trying to work on it and get it going. But
I'm like halfway through the source material on the audiobook.
And I mean, so how much did the first season cover? Like, are you past where you were in the show, or are you kind of still seeing
it hops around a bit.
Okay.
So certain things have happened that haven't happened in the show, but other things happen in the show that haven't happened yet in the book, or presuming that they happen at all. So I don't know yet. But what I can tell you is the source material is excellent.
And do you think that from what you saw the first season, they did justice to what you're seeing? It's obviously always kind of interesting when you work, from the adaptation back to the source material. But
I think that the show did it justice. I like the way that the show, the way the show's paced, the episodes and everything. And like I said, they trim and cut and move things around and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But the source material, I think, is strong enough to where even if these two guys leave and exit and they got to find somebody else, hopefully nobody from DC comes in here and gets their hands on it, because apparently they can't read and put stuff on the screen.
Zack Snyder's looking for work.
Yeah, so, but the source material is strong, so hopefully, if they do leave and they get some other people involved, hopefully the source material can carry them through. But I thoroughly enjoyed, 100% recommend season 1. It was awesome.
Yeah. So search is underway for new showrunner. So no announcements on that front. I guess some people floated the idea that Neil Gaiman would kind of step up and possibly do that, cool. But it sounds like he says he's focused on his Good Omens show that he's working on with John Hamm and Michael Sheen. So
fuck yeah, that's cool too. I'll take that.
Yeah,
Good Omens supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that kind of shakes out. If we get any sort of announcements on new showrunner or anything like that, maybe touch on that. Whenever we hear something on that front. Last bit of news. We got a promo image of Brenton Thwaites as Dick Grayson or Robin in the upcoming Titans show coming to the DC streaming platform. We talked about the platform a little bit when we talked about the Harley Quinn show last week. This is really the first exposure we've seen to anything on this show other than hearing about various castings that they've done. And
he looks pretty cool.
I mean, it looks like Robin, and it looks like a good version of that costume. It's a little dark, so I can't see if there's any nipples down here. But looks like they're possibly shying away from the style that they went with. I think the last time we saw a Robin costume hung up on display in BVS.
Yeah.
Had like little shorty shorts on it too. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I want to see fucking Ben Affleck Batman running around with some little fucking 15-year-old kid wearing little shorty shorts, and people aren't going to look at that and raise some fucking eyebrows. All right.
You could do like the one was a little girl in Dark Knight Returns, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. He's got that staff, and
he's got a little domino mask. I mean, it's still very obvious who he is. I don't know who he's.
He's trying to conceal his identity too much. Those masks never really made a whole lot of sense with me.
No.
I don't know how they stay on your face.
It's a comics thing. It's the Clark Kent glasses Superman thing.
It's not even that, but like if you're doing, because I mean, in the haven't read a whole lot of comics involving Robin, but I know that the character flips around and he's real acrobatic and shit. And how's that little thing gonna stay on his face?
I mean, we've seen plenty of domino masks in Arrow. I guess you're right. He adopted one by the end of season 2, courtesy of Barry Allen, or was that season 3? Might have been season. No, I think that was season 2.
They blend together.
Yeah, well, don't they? But
they must like have adhesive on the back of the mask or something.
There's some sort of magic, or Constantine's just off in the corner, like holding his hand up, like stop flipping around, you cunt.
I'll follow that.
Yeah, I think this is shaping up. I mean, to me, this image says that they
They took the costume seriously.
Know how to design costumes. So I mean, I don't know if we can say anything else about the show certainly at this point, but it's a good start.
It's a good picture.
It's I think I said last week that I'm definitely interested in this streaming platform that DC's putting together, and I'm curious to see how this Titans show shapes up.
I want that DC animated Blu-ray set, man. $200 Blu-ray set with all the cartoons.
It's available. You just gotta be able to drop that dough on it.
I wish I would have known about that before for Black Friday. I wonder what that went for.
I don't know.
Either way.
Anyway,
on to Coco.
Yes, indeed. On to the first of our double feature, Coco. Oh, hold on. Let's pump the brakes here. Before we talk about Coco, we've got to spend 30 minutes talking about Olaf's Frozen Adventure, because that was almost as long as the movie itself.
That didn't bode well with me. I don't want to sound like a stick in the mud, okay? I got,
What, you don't like Olaf?
Yeah,
how could you not like me?
Frozen's great. It's all fine. I didn't sign up to go watch fucking Frozen. I didn't want to watch Frozen.
Well, Pixar has the tradition where they'll do the shorts, quote unquote short.
That was not a short.
Before their movies, yeah, and we're talking 5 minutes or so, not
30, 35. How long was it?
It was 22 minutes, is what.
22 minutes.
But that is way, way, way too long to put in front of your movie, and I knew about it going in.
I did not,
and so for me, I was like, I knew what I was getting. There, I knew that by me arriving on time, that I would be sitting through that. And I agree. I mean, I like Frozen. I really, really like Frozen.
Right,
but
that's great.
I mean, this is low budgeted, not focusing on what made Frozen great. It's a Christmas TV special. It's really what it is. And production values reflect that, and it's horribly misplaced in front of your movie that
takes place in Mexico.
Well, not even that. It's not even that. It's just too long. I mean, if you wanted, you could do a 5-minute Frozen short, stick that in front of this movie, and I would have no issues with that whatsoever. It's way too cumbersome and way too long to stick in front of a movie.
And I felt they were tonally different. Didn't add anything to the movie.
Well, it was just a poor decision, and it definitely backfired because the response has been not kind.
Okay, good.
Enough that Disney is like, hey, starting this date, we're going to pull that from all of our showings of Coco.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But I ain't seeing Coco again in theaters anytime soon.
No, I'm not. It's. I always wonder when I feel like, because I got in the movie, and I sat there and I watched it, and I was watching it and I was waiting for it to fucking end. And it never ended, And then I started getting a little broody, I was just, God damn, when is this shit getting over with? I didn't want to watch this.
I was like, jeez,
is it just me? Am I just an asshole, or is this? Should it not be here? And I'm kind of pleased to hear that the reception's been.
Yeah. Well, part of the problem too is that it had a different aspect ratio than the actual movie was projected in as well. So it wasn't matted to fit the screen properly as it would be if it was
everything
an actual
was
feature. And so it just kind of felt like a last minute, like, let's just tack this on type decision, and not the right one. And I think it's probably perfectly serviceable as your Christmas special, but when you're trying to just dump it in front of a movie, it's just not a good move, and it's definitely something that kind of leaves people in a sour state of affairs. Especially, they showed that, and then they have like the people behind Coco, like, hey, here's a special message from us guys, and everyone's just like, oh my god, just start the fucking movie,
Yeah,
I feel bad for those guys because they obviously did a lot of work on fucking Coco.
Not to the detriment of Coco.
No, absolutely not.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, I said that I'm not going to go see Coco in theaters again. I don't mean to make it sound like I didn't like Coco. It's just so many things that I want to see, and I've seen it now, and I mean, it was really good.
Coco was outstanding. I think we talked about it when we went on a rant about animated films before. But goddamn, this movie. There was a scene in the middle of the movie, and started feeling a little sentimental. Started feeling a little itchy in my eyes, and then from that point on, I remained itchy in my eyes. And then by the end of the movie, I was weeping. I tears streaming down my face. I was sniffling, and the theater that I saw it in the Zephyr Hill Cinema. Okay, and it was relatively empty. There was a family behind me, and then there were 2 other people. And you could audibly hear in the middle of the movie everybody sobbing. It was actually kind of a different experience because I've never seen that before in a movie. But it hit everybody in the feels in my theater, but especially me. It's a very well made movie. I mean, it's The music's great. Characters are well done. The story has it's well paced. It's another fine Pixar movie. What do you think about it?
I thought this was more of a return to form for Pixar than I think we've seen in the past couple of years. I know we talked about it, like you said, and I looked it up, and there was something that I was like, I think Pixar came out with something recently, and I didn't know what it was, and it was Cars. They put out another Cars movie. I don't even pay attention to that shit. I just immediately I
haven't seen Cars either.
Don't give a shit.
The original Cars was good.
I didn't see the original Cars either. Nothing about that franchise appeals to me. It just feels like I mean, look, I get it. Everything's kind of a toy appeal in some way, or it's about merchandising, and that one just to me feels like nothing but merchandising.
Original Cars was okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it. Maybe I'd give it a pass if I saw it, but it seemed like certainly the other two, they've been kind of a lackadaisical effort. I know the second one didn't review very well. I don't know how the third one did. Like I said, I just did not pay attention to it.
I kind of wrote them off after the first one.
But no, I mean, I thought this one really kind of nailed a lot of the emotional beats that it tried to land. And for me, it took a little while, I think, for the story, to get going a bit.
I think a lot of that probably has to do with you watching 40 minutes of fucking shit before he got to the movie.
That's entirely possible. Yeah, I'm not going to discount that. I was like, shit, I've been sitting here for a while. I mean, how long's this movie been going for? 5 minutes? Oh, my God!
Right.
Yeah, well, I actually went... Sorry, I'm adjusting in my chair. I want to get comfy. Much better. No, I went Saturday afternoon to a 2D screening, so it was actually really busy. A really busy screening. Certainly a lot of families there, and I'm just kind of a 25-year-old dude just waltzing in there by myself
with a beer
in my hand, like, hey guys, how's it going? Some finger guns going on. So I felt a little bit awkward as I walked into that theater, but I just wanted to see the movie. All right,
that's it.
But it hit me, and it seemed like it had a pretty good response. Certainly in my theater as well. Like I said, there was a lot of people in there. I don't know that I heard any sort of distinct crying or anything like that.
To be fair, Zephyr Cinema is not the best place to go watch movies.
Well, that's probably fair.
But yeah, man, everybody was. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, it was really good. And as far as how it impacted me, though, so many onions in there. Like the family next to me had a few cutting boards laid out, and then they were just cutting onions the whole time. And I thought that was inconsiderate of them because it started to make my eyes water.
Oh yeah.
And then they just kept chopping away, and I'm like, oh, I'm crying over here, guys. Look, like this is not socially acceptable for me to be crying in the theater right now. All right, if you could just lay off the onions for, I mean, just a few minutes. Just you got any tomatoes in there? Like, what's the deal here?
Something other than onions.
But they just kept chopping away at them. So, needless to say, by the end of the movie, I'm just crying over there, and it's certainly nothing to do with the emotional content of the movie. It's obviously just because of the onions that were being chopped on either side of me. But
the music, though, what'd you think about the music?
I really liked the music. I enjoyed that a lot of it was Spanish language, and they didn't feel the need to subtitle everything. I thought that you could. For me, I think this whole movie could have been Spanish language, and I would have been fine with it.
Oh, sure.
Well, obviously, if you did it that way, they would need to subtitle it for me because I'm not the most fluent in Spanish. No. And when I say I'm not the most, that means that I know like 15 words.
Right.
I took a few years of Spanish in high school, guys.
I don't know very much Spanish at all. Okay, but I knew enough to understand the songs. You know what I mean? And understand.
Right. What's what I'm saying is that with the songs, there was enough context there that you could pick out what they're saying and stuff like that.
It's actually really interesting that you said that. I didn't think about that before. But yeah, all the songs are. I mean,
not all of them. I mean, like "Remember Me" is I think
it's in English, but there's a lot of songs in there that are Spanish, but you can convey it through context, and which is they did a really good job.
I really like the music, and I thought they did a really good job with the setting of it in general, just in terms of not just Mexico, but when they kind of played a lot with the Land of the Dead, and playing with kind of the Day of the Dead themes. I mean, when he first sees the Land of the Dead, and this is what the creators were talking about, I think in their little bit, like
the lights and stuff,
the lights and colors, and that was astounding.
Yeah, it was very nice. You can tell a lot of care went into it.
I mean, I don't know if this was playing in IMAX. I'm not sure. I don't know off the top of my head.
It'd be pretty good in IMAX.
But I feel like certainly stuff like that would have been like, whoa, in IMAX for sure. And I think 3D as well, and I didn't see it in 3D because I'm a cheap bastard these days. But yeah, no, I think that this is something that I think that clearly there was a lot of hard work put into the animation and swords and the colors and everything in here, and I think it really popped as a result.
Mm-hmm. Character design was nice too.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed a lot of kind of the aesthetic of it. Character design, definitely, and I think that's kind of what it made it stand out on a technical level. But I think that it did manage to land those emotional notes that just kind of sealed the deal by the end of the movie for me. And some of them, I think a lot throughout the movie. Yeah, it seemed fairly predictable, I'd say, for a good amount of it, but there was still enough in there for me that it kind of threw me for a loop here and there that I was just like, all right, I don't know how this movie's going to play out entirely, so I liked that. I liked that it wasn't so predictable that I knew exactly everything that was going to play out the way that it did. So,
and I went and saw it with children's too.
How'd the children's like it?
It held their attention. The youngest of the children's was on the edge of her seat the entire time, like engaged in the movie, which was, if anybody's listening has children, it's probably I would say that it's entertaining enough to hold your attention as an adult listener, but it'll also captivate your children as well. At least it captivated the children I went with, and I think it'll probably be a good experience if you're looking to something to take the kids to go see. Even if you don't have children, you're looking for a movie to go see.
I think that's the beauty of certainly most Pixar films is that they don't cater exclusively to the interests of children to the exclusion of adults. And I think that's Disney.
All animated movies in that sense.
Well, I think a lot of them these days are structured that way,
right?
Because they know. I mean, the kids aren't going to watch it themselves,
right?
Who's
floating that bill?
Or exactly. so I think that there's obviously an inherent desire to appeal to the adults as well, and and certainly in the case of this, I think that's via the emotionality and the kind of the connections that it creates.
I think it's like all things art, though. All good things, all well-made things, kind of transcend. You know what I mean? This is one of those things that'll transcend the age groups and the demographics that they're shooting for. And
I agree. Yeah, so I guess, we didn't really talk about what this was about. I guess at this point, it's probably not worth getting into it too much.
Yeah, right.
But I thought it was a really sweet story. I think that certainly if you like Pixar films, it's well worth your time. And I think it hits, it hits those notes well enough that I think even if you're not a big animated film goer, I think that it's still worth your time. I didn't realize this, but kind of in doing some research, the Lee Unkrich, who is one of the co-directors, actually worked on Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., and Finding Nemo as co-director, and then he directed by himself Toy Story 3.
Very nice.
There's a lot of pedigree there, and obviously within the Pixar family, but those are all outstanding movies. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that this turned out as well as it did. But for me, Pixar has kind of been since Inside Out, which it was only a couple of years ago, to be fair, but that was kind of the same way as this one, where it hit those emotional beats really, really solidly. And so I guess recommendation-wise, go see this in theaters.
Go see it in theaters,
yeah,
for sure.
I'd be curious if it's available on IMAX. I think visually speaking, I think that could add an extra level to it. Mm-hmm. And, we used our movie passes, but I would have been happy paying money for this.
I would have paid money to go see this movie
personally,
for sure.
And certainly if you have kids, I think that they would definitely enjoy it as well. Mm-hmm. That's our recommendation. We're going to briefly touch on some spoilers here. So full spoilers for Pixar's Coco.
Coco. What you got for spoilers on this one?
Not a whole lot. I just kind of wanted to elaborate on what I was talking about, where I thought a lot of the stuff that was predictable, and initially frames it as Ernesto de la Cruz is his great-great-great-grandfather, and I was like, that was super obvious. I don't know if they tried to play that as somewhat of a surprise early in the movie. It was early enough that I think that it wasn't intended to be like this massive surprise.
Right.
But when they did reveal that initially, I was just like, duh.
Right, exactly. But then they turned it on its head, right.
And the kind of drifter that he's been floating around with ends up being his, and that to me definitely kind of took me by surprise. It seemed a little coincidental for me that he happened to that was the one guy that he happened to be stuck with, and then it's actually my great-great-great-grandfather who happened to play with Ernesto de la Cruz.
He's trying.
Well, and I think that the emotionality behind that story was excellent.
Oh, it's so sad.
I think they really, really did a great job, especially in the end.
Think about it though. He spent a lifetime The daughter was just a little baby when he died.
Yeah.
He spent a lifetime trying to get back to see his daughter, and the family spent a lifetime trying to separate that bond. It was
no music.
I think at that point when you realize that it's that's his actual grandfather, that's when it really fucking hits you, and then it continues to hit.
Well, yeah,
the
and then
movie.
There's various little parts of the story. Well, I mean, especially capped off by when he's singing "Remember Me." I think to his to Mama Coco at the end.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
that was the gut punch. Like, let the waterworks flow freely. But that was kind of my only thing that I think that part of why I didn't quite it didn't grab me right off the bat,
right?
And I think that's just because I think the Land of the Dead setting was far more interesting.
Oh, sure.
Than the boring old
Mexico.
real world.
Yeah.
Obviously they realized that and they spent good probably 80% of the movie in the Land of the Dead as a result, but a lot of it just kind of, especially him playing music and stuff like that, and kind of like, it just felt very stereotypical. Like, you got to make shoes. No, I want to play music.
Right?
Not in. I don't know about stereotypical. It just felt very standard animated film, like type scenario where I'm just like,
follow your dreams. Yeah, no matter what they say. It kind of seemed
like it was leaning into a lot of those usual trappings, and I was just like, I feel like I've seen this. Also, if I want to see some little kid playing guitar, I'll just watch Kubo again.
Yeah, the Kubo's some serious shit about playing guitar.
Yeah.
Although he does play a pretty good riff when he's watching that old the movie, up there in the attic, No,
I mean, I think it just took a little while for it to get going for me. I think that was really kind of my biggest hesitation with it initially. It was just like, I don't know if this is going to add anything new to the genre, and I don't know that it necessarily. I think it was creative enough with storytelling and stuff, even if it didn't maybe add any sort of wow notes in terms of, I've never seen this in a movie before.
Right.
It did everything so well that I'm not going to hold that against it.
No, it's a very touching story.
So yeah, it was really good. Really enjoyed it, and that's kind of all I have to say.
There's not a whole lot of spoilers.
Spoiler-wise, you want to talk about?
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a little bit more specific, kind of in what I was alluding to earlier. So,
I don't think either movie this week has a whole lot of spoiler action in it, does it?
We'll touch on it a little bit, but I guess we can touch on it in non-spoiler territory now if you're ready to move along.
Yeah. So, what is the proper name of our next movie?
It is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. The comma is not usually said, though. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This is coming to us from Martin McDonagh, who our last episode, I guess we were both part of it. Yeah. You mentioned that you had watched In Bruges. He directed that. He did 7 Psychopaths as well. And so this is his latest. It's got Frances McDormand in it, Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell, Peter Dinklage.
Star-studded cast, man.
Good cast, really good cast. And
they shine, too.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely something I kind of want to touch on. But I think this is probably a little bit more off the radar. I mean, Coco it's a Pixar movie.
Oh, sure. Everybody knows Coco.
Right. So I think, at least in terms of this, I mean, the title alone is probably enough to give you some sort of inkling of what it's about. But basically, it's a mother who, played by Frances McDormand. She puts up these billboards. Her daughter was raped and murdered. And so she puts up these billboards saying, basically calling out the police, like, hey, why haven't you
done anything?
Caught, the rapist and murder yet? And that's kind of the starting point for a minute, and then it kind of just proceeds from there throughout the movie. And it's good. I mean, what'd you think?
I thought it was outstanding. The only movie I hadn't seen that this guy did was In Bruges, and I watched that, and that was an outstanding movie as well. And there's a lot of it's definitely a different story. I think we talked about it a little before. It's a different story than In Bruges and 7 Psychopaths. But there's definitely similar tropes. You could tell he wrote and directed it. Just the style of the film. And the comedy's very dark, and it lands well with me. I think it's hilarious. I think it lands well with you. It's definitely a funny movie. There's portions where this one also hit me in the feels at one part in particular, which neither 7 Psychopaths or In Bruges ever really hit me in the feels. I didn't really I didn't really have that stake in the game on those movies, but this one he did a really good job of developing a character, and you get to feel for that character at an emotional level, and I thought he did a good job with that. But probably I think the biggest thing to write home about was the acting. I felt that everybody really brought their A game on this movie, and the writing's fine. It's funny. It's well written. I think at some points it kind of felt like the dialogue was kind of stretched on longer than it needed to be, but the acting was so well done that I thought that it was fine. Yeah, what did you think about it?
I would agree with most of what you said there. Martin McDonagh, I don't know that anyone does black comedy quite the way that Martin McDonagh does it.
Yeah, he's pretty blatant about it, isn't
he? I mean, we saw plenty of it in Bruised and Seven Psychopaths, and I think here, it's a little bit of a heavier topic. I think that he deals with certainly compared to Seven Psychopaths, and it's been a little while since in Bruges, but I think certainly compared to that as well.
Oh no, definitely.
But he still has the comedic styling that he applies to it, and
he puts salt
even a lot of the jokes in this movie are still out of context. Everyone would just be like,
But it was funny as shit. It was so good.
Well, and there was a lot of people laughing in our theater too.
Yeah,
and there was even moments where I was just like, I was laughing too, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing. That's not okay. No, that's not good. But yeah, that's just kind of his style.
Right.
And he does it so well that, in the context of this movie, it definitely...
Your kids are cunts.
Yeah. Well, right. Right. Yeah, that's certainly something in Bruges that's not probably okay for you to say in perhaps regular conversation. No, I think that's I think kind of what really stuck out to me is that his style is he's so great at it, and I'm surprised that it still was so effective when applied to a topic like this.
And I think it's more refined.
And it retained his stylings too, because to talk about Only the Brave. We talked about that a few episodes ago. That was the one with Miles Teller's eyebrows.
God, yeah.
I bring that up because that was from Joseph Kosinski, who did Tron Legacy and Oblivion.
Okay.
And then he went and did Only the Brave. And that was like really technically cool and all, but it still felt like him kind of getting out of his comfort zone. And this to me, Martin McDonagh, it still felt like he was in his comfort zone, even when he was dealing with something that was just kind of totally different thematically than...
It felt like a refined version of it. Felt like he's grown in his filmmaking skills.
I think that's definitely a good assessment of it. And as you mentioned, it's... because his cast is fucking excellent here.
Oh, yeah.
Frances McDormand, she's always been great. She's great in everything he does, but she's amazing in this.
I've always enjoyed Woody Harrelson, but Woody Harrelson did an excellent job. Just a little, I don't know what they're called. I think they're like micro expressions and stuff. You know what I mean? Just the little sentiments that the characters put in, or the actors put into their characters. Sam Rockwell does it a couple times, and the way that everybody interacts with each other, it feels very, very, very authentic.
Yeah, that's a good word. I was waiting for you to start stuttering over your words and like, what's that word? I was gonna come in and say authentic, but you're clearly in
I'm on point, you son of a bitch.
You know what you're talking about, so I don't.
It's wine.
You don't need me.
I'm a refined man now that I'm drinking wine.
I
know my words.
You've grown much like Martin McDonagh. We're drinking some wine for our listeners. I think this is the first episode where we've been drinking any wine, if I'm not mistaken.
That's it.
Yes, I think this was a very good movie.
Let me get a piece of cheese with my wine.
Yeah, stick out my pinky out while I sip on this glass of wine. Who else is in this? Sam Rockwell is great. Woody Harrelson, as you mentioned, is great. Peter Dinklage, not in a whole lot, but also
nails what he's
a really fun character that. A lot of the interactions between all of them is really good too, and especially given that it kind of follows it over a little bit of a period of time, and so you kind of see a lot of growth in a lot of the characters and a lot of the dynamics and stuff like that, and to kind of see that evolution, to see kind of the little differences in the characters and stuff. I think that it's really
cinematography was worth noting too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it is a very well shot movie.
And you could tell that right from the beginning too.
Oh yeah, with the shots of the billboard. Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I didn't know if they would start it where they started it. Post the death of her daughter.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was another thing too.
I was wondering how much we would get
of
the pre and post of that. It's something you want to talk about in spoilers.
I guess that might be spoiler territory.
Yeah, we'll hold off on that. Just keep it in the back of your mind. Don't forget it.
But the that one guy was in it from the Tom Cruise movie we saw. It was Tom Cruise's brother-in-law, the little piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
I don't know his name.
Caleb Landry Jones. Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
He was fucking good.
Yeah.
I saw him. I was like, I recognize this little shithead from that Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, he's not so bad.
He's not like a super Weasley character like he was in that. Yeah.
That dude played a piece of shit in that Tom Cruise movie.
It's funny because
American Made. That's right. It was American Made.
Yeah, American Made. It's funny because you see enough actors in like certain types of roles.
Right.
And so you just immediately like, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. You don't know anything about him. Like, he's just playing a totally different character.
Him.
And he's just like, oh, he's going to fucking do something in this. I know he did it in the other one. He's going to do, they wouldn't have cast him, but they weren't going to make him into this shady fucking character.
That's it.
That I find, not specifically to him, of course. I think that's probably applicable to a lot of guys. And it also works the same way. We're like, oh fuck, that guy's he's always a good guy. He's gonna be good. Oh no, he's an evil asshole in this.
Right?
What do I do now? So it's fun when they kind of play against type with casting and stuff like that. And I actually thought Sam Rockwell was kind of cast a little bit against type here too.
He was, yeah.
Usually he's just kind of the lovable goofball, and I don't think that was really totally the case here. I mean, he could still. There was a lot of heart to his character. There was
a lot of growth in his character as well.
A surprising amount. But, initially I was just kind of like, I want to like Sam Rockwell. I have a natural inclination to really like Sam Rockwell. And I was like, oh no, I don't think I could like Sam Rockwell in this movie. And I was like, this is going to make me sad.
And it also delves into a lot of I'm stuttering on my words. I thought I was refined. I ran out of wine. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, you drank the rest of the bottle, so you dickhead.
It deals with a lot of issues today, and I think that's where a lot of the dark comedy's kind of sprinkled in there. You know what I mean? It's sprinkled into
racial relations,
modern problems and cultural things here in America and stuff. You know what I mean? And they're kind of sprinkled in there, and I think that's where the dark comedy actually really shines through.
Because there's a lot of truth too.
Yes,
so a lot of the quote unquote jokes. Yeah.
And it's a remarkably well made movie. It's very good. It's not going to be on the top of anybody's radar, I don't think. Especially it's coming up in the shadow of Star Wars, and there's a lot of then you got Coco here, but. It's definitely a movie worth noting.
And to kind of tack onto that, it wasn't anything we were planning on covering.
No,
until recently when I think I mentioned the end of our last episode that my brother Jordan recommended it to us,
right?
And so we decided, okay.
We'll see it.
And it was something that...
No, I sent you that's what happened. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, hey, I think this might be because it shares a lot of styles with it almost looks like a Coen Brothers movie. And I saw the trailer, I was like, hey, man, I want to go see this movie. Maybe we can cover it in the next podcast. And you're like, my brother just texted me about this movie.
Yeah. So, you're right. It was just kind of coincidental that way, but it was the perfect storm of, hey, let's cover it. And I'm glad we did. It's something I think I would have seen... eventually anyway. Perhaps I don't know if I would have seen
maybe
it
a Blu-ray movie
right
or something.
Away. I might have just kind of waited and caught it. I could get it for cheap. But I'm glad I saw it. And so I guess if there's nothing else you want to really touch on for just kind of our non-spoiler section, do you want to get into your recommendation of it?
I would definitely. I mean, I would recommend. It's different from what I'd recommend for a theater movie.
Well, certainly when we're coming off of recommending Coco, I think certainly, Coco is everyone can enjoy that movie. Go see it in theaters.
Right.
I don't think this is quite the same.
This is a slow-paced, dark comedy drama movie is what it is.
Right. So understand, obviously, that it's perhaps not to everyone's taste, but...
based on the quality of the movie, it's definitely worth seeing in theaters.
I wanted to say it, but I was the one that asked you,
right?
And so I didn't want to steal your thunder by making my proclamation first. And I was just like, hold on, let me just. You
got to preface it though. It's not everybody's going to watch this movie and enjoy it.
I think that's kind of the best way to put it. Is that certainly if you've seen In Bruges or Seven Psychopaths, you should know if that style of humor is agreeable.
Expect a more refined version of those movies.
Yeah, and I think it's a. I don't know if it's laugh out loud funny as some moments in those movies.
No.
But I don't think it's intended to be.
No, it's not.
But it has enough humor in there that it does it doesn't feel like such a dour experience.
Right.
Or anything like that for something that could, come off as such. And so there's enough levity in there to really kind of balance it out, I think. And I think that's admirable that you can still manage levity in there without undermining, I guess,
the content.
The topic. Right. So I think that's really cool. But as long as you kind of know at least somewhat what you're walking into, I think it's an excellent film. And I think it's one that is worth seeing in theaters.
For sure.
I mean, I think it's definitely good enough that, again, if I spent money on it, I would have been very okay
perfectly
with it.
fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good week for movies. Go see these two movies.
Yeah, two good movies. Obviously, don't take your kids to go see Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Probably not a good idea.
A lot of adult content in the movie.
Yeah. Some stuff about cocks and...
rape and murder and just all the things that maybe children should be sheltered from.
Yeah. At least for a little while, anyway.
A little bit.
So cool. Let's touch on spoilers for this. So full spoilers for... Full spoilers for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Do you remember what your thought was that you wanted to touch on before? Not to put you on the spot.
Well, we were talking about the they did a good job of relaying an experience and the way the experience impacted the characters in the story without actually having to show the experience.
Right.
Which I think that's a profound thing, because a lot of times I feel like, for an audience to get involved with everybody in the movie, a lot of times you have to show them what you're talking about or whatever. But that was very much not the point. Wasn't necessarily what happened. It was it was everything that followed.
It's the aftermath, right?
Right.
Well, certainly juxtaposed against something like Wind River, which
dealt
with something thematically very similar, but it handled it in that very different way of showing that flashback.
It actually used the experience as an exclamation point as to what was going on in the movie. You know what I mean?
But I mean, even then, that wasn't so much about...
You were already involved in the characters at that point, so it was a crescendo.
Because I'm trying to think. I mean, with the father character in Wind River was a character, but he wasn't the main character.
Right.
So you're looking at a different perspective here, where you're looking at the mother of the daughter that was raped and murdered, and so you just naturally have that different perspective, and so it's just a different outlook on grief and coping and anything along those lines. And so I think that's probably why it's structured in a different way. So it's just two totally different takes on the same.
Both are excellent takes on
similar content, certainly. Yeah, but that was kind of probably the most obvious comparison I think in recent memory.
Oh, for sure.
Of kind of dealing with the subject matter, and really good. I mean, I kind of touched on it. Was there anything else you wanted to add before?
That was all I wanted to say.
I was like, I kind of forgot what your overall point was, but I don't want to just roll into... I usually do that. I usually just steamroll you. Just for the record, I usually just steamroll you, where you say something, then I say something in response, and then I just take it into my own direction, and then I'm like, I'm in charge.
No,
bitch.
I said my piece.
I'm in charge. But no, I was going to say, I mean, at least as far as spoilers, I don't, again, have a whole lot to offer in the same way we did Coco. I was fascinated by the character arcs that most of them kind of take on throughout. So, I mean, Mildred, who is Frances McDormand's character, she kind of, she's at the beginning, she takes charge, and then it's interesting to see the lengths that she goes beyond that.
Right. I mean, she
Molotov cocktailing the police station is kind of crazy, even by the end of the movie, where she's paired up with Dixon, and they're gonna possibly go kill a guy because he admitted to raping a girl. Like, it's a crazy kind of arc for her character to kind of.
But at that point, she was almost questioning.
But
her.
she's
almost like she found what she needed.
Right.
But all the characters have a they feel like they start at one place, they grow, and then they end at another place. Yeah. All the main characters do, anyways.
Dixon, Sam Rockwell's character, I think, is probably the one that has the most growth.
Right.
Throughout, where he's
just a piece of shit.
He's a huge piece of shit. Definitely racist. And
loose cannon beating the hell out of people.
Right. To the point where he's throwing out American Maid's ass out the window, like halfway through the movie. I was like, what?
Yeah.
type scene.
Punch that lady in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little crazy.
But to kind of see him kind of take some sort of a redemption arc kind of throughout the second half of the movie, I was actually really surprised by that. I kind of just figured he'd play back into it as a further antagonist, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to not like Sam Rockwell. But even by the end, it doesn't excuse anything he's done, certainly, but you do at least kind of feel some sympathy for a guy where
it's great. Like you said, it's character growth. You know what I mean?
So I was really kind of taken aback by his kind of development throughout the movie. I thought that was particularly well done, and perhaps the impetus for that was Chief Willoughby, Woody Harrelson's character.
That one hit me in the feels.
I was really, really taken with how they handled the Willoughby character there. 'Cause, Woody Harrelson did a fantastic job, first of all, but he commits suicide maybe halfway through the movie, and he said, and that's kind of his letter to Dixon's kind of what sets Dixon off on his new path. But for Willoughby himself, in terms of kind of Willoughby, dealing with his own issues,
I feel like Willoughby's death is almost the catalyst for all the characters, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
At that point, they all kind of sit and reevaluate what's going on, and I don't know, Woody's character was, Mildred has a big problem, and not necessarily with him, but with the police department he's in charge of.
Right.
But the entire time, Willoughby's got his own shit going on. You know what I mean? He's very much he's fighting his own battles and everything else, and he's just an all around. He seems like an all around good guy. And like I said, I think his character arc was, and the end of his character arc was almost the catalyst for all the other characters to begin their change and then start to wrap up the movie. Really good. It was a really like I said, it was a really well made movie. The cinematography was great. I really enjoyed the interactions between everybody, though. That was probably the high point. One point in particular, when Sam Rockwell's talking to Woody, and he's bitching about him doing something. You just lay off that guy. You lay off the American-made dude. And he's making a face, and Sam Rockwell's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. What the fuck's wrong with you?" You know, like it just all feels very authentic. And Mildred's just a mean old lady, and she does a really good job of being a mean old lady. They're all very likable characters.
It was a lot of fun. She tells off the priest in her home. That was pretty good.
Tells off the news reporter.
Yeah,
put that in your report, bitch.
Yeah, no, it's I really enjoyed it. Certainly one that I will be adding to the collection.
That's right. Put it up there on the shelf, man.
Yeah, there's a lot that need to go on the shelf.
Speaking of the shelf, what have you been up to this week?
Speaking of the shelf, well, I haven't watched any real movies besides the two we've just talked about in some detail. What I have been up to is I'm still trying to work my way through the CW stuff. So I've watched everything through week 4, except Riverdale, which I'm 1 week behind on Riverdale, so I haven't had a chance to catch up on that. So a brief update on the CW power rankings through the 4th week, which is still, I think, 4 or 5 weeks behind everything else. They're all going to go on a mid-season hiatus, and so my hope is that I'll catch up there. That way I can kind of pick up the day that everything starts. But I think I had Legends at number 1 last time, so that's the same. Keeping Legends at number 1, and then everything else is going to shift around a little bit. I'm bumping Supergirl to number 2, and Riverdale might very well be number 2 if I had watched it. I don't know exactly where I'd put it. But Supergirl, I thought this 4th episode they did was one of the best they've done this season, and enough for me that none of the episodes have been bad enough. None of them have been bad. They've always been kind of like, whatever. But I thought this one was actually particularly well done, enough for me to kind of, it stands out to me as noteworthy in terms of what they did. So that's enough for me to kind of bump it over Arrow, who comes in at number 3. And Arrow is trending in the wrong direction, my friend.
But then Flash must be all the way down there.
Flash is all the way at the bottom.
Damn.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think Flash was better than Arrow this week. But I think I'm treating these as a whole.
Okay.
Of the 4 episodes that I've watched to this point, and I think Flash it's trying to figure it out. It's trying to kind of reestablish its tone as similar to season 1, where it's a little bit more happy-go-lucky. But to me, it feels like it's a little bit too far in that direction, where it doesn't feel quite right.
Right.
And Arrow is trending into its season 3 and 4 direction, where it's like Olicity, baby, yeah, and it's just it's just so poorly. I don't have anything against I don't have anything against those two. I don't have anything against Emily Bett.
You just don't want Oliver to be happy.
I don't have any stake in the relationship. It's not even like he's got to be with Laurel. Like, I'm not a shipper in any sort of respect. I just want something that's at least moderately well written. I don't expect high caliber television on fucking CW of all things. I walk into it expecting angsty teen bullshit. Like, I get that, but this is, and we saw it in seasons 3 and the second half of season 3 and then all of season 4, where it just overrides every aspect of the show for no apparent reason.
Oh yeah,
to the point where everyone else in the show is just like, you guys should totally get together, guys. Like, I don't know why I'm saying this dialogue, and it's
very heavy-handed.
So it's very heavy-handed. It's so out of place, and it's just like, look, like, if you guys want to put them together, like, be my fucking guest. Just don't make that the whole show. There's no point for that to be the whole show. Like,
let's not forget you're a vigilante supposed to be kicking ass.
And it should be about that. And if you want to have a subplot of them being together, like, it's fine. Like, they've done it well enough in the past, and it's just, it seems crazy to me. I don't know if just Mark Guggenheim gets his fucking rocks off by seeing Stephen Amell and Emily Bett in the same room together. I don't know what the case is, but it's definitely trending in the wrong direction. And I showed you earlier the Arrow subreddit. Is an open revolt against the show, and they've obviously all they're caught up, but apparently it doesn't get any better because the Arrow subreddit has now turned into a Punisher subreddit.
That's hilarious.
They say they're an open revolt against their own show because they don't agree with the direction that's gone in. So now they're all celebrating a show created by the competitor, if you will, Marvel versus DC, if you want to kind of look at it that way. And this isn't the first time they've done it. They did the exact same shit during season 4. They turned it into a Daredevil subreddit.
I think that's when I quit. Did I quit watching season 4? I can't remember. I quit watching in the Prometheus season.
That was season 5. I mean, season 5 was a return to form. Season 5 was my favorite of the CW shows last year. So I don't know what happened between. It seems like they realized what was wrong before going into 5, and they fixed everything. And then I don't know if the writing staff jumped ship, or I don't know what the case is. Either way, no good. I'm hoping that I don't agree with the
subreddit,
audience en masse, but I have a feeling that they're probably right, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. So that's where I stand with the CW stuff. Still trying to catch up on everything. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. aired. I know we tried to watch it last night. And both of us had long days, so we didn't quite make it through.
And lots of food.
Yeah, so I can't say anything on it just yet. I will say that from what briefly we watched, I was kind of lost by what was going on with it, but
had a pretty groovy intro. That first episode there with that fellow walking around going swimming, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So that's definitely something I'm keen to get back into and finish out and watch, just so I can stay current with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for sure. But other than that, that's really all I've been up to. I'm hoping that should have a little bit more free time going forward for at least a little while here, so I'm hoping that I can start cracking open some Blu-rays and catching some stuff that I bought for Black Friday and such, and catching up on all the TV that I've been missing out on, which CW, Mr. Robot,
Mr. Robot,
like just a ton of stuff that I've been wanting to watch. And
first Mr. Robot in
6 episodes at least, I think.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it's pretty far along. So
where can I stream that at?
I don't know.
Oh shit, might have to wait. Either way, I don't know. It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, but anyway, that's all I got. What have you been up to this week, sire?
I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball Super on Henrique's request. And
Kamehameha!
Oh yeah, it sounds about right. It's pretty close.
Knowledge.
There's also Gatling Gun and Demon Flash and all sorts of crazy shit.
That's beyond my knowledge.
Yeah. Well. Anyways, so I got through. They had this Dragon Ball Super starts out with. I started episode 30 after I watched Dragon Ball Resurrection F and Dragon Ball something. I forgot what it was called. There's like 2 movies there.
Okay.
And then Super takes place. It covers those 2 movies and then beyond. So I picked up the episode around 30. I think 28 or 30, and started watching it. And it's just standard Dragon Ball stuff, but it's I don't know, it's cool. I haven't been engrossed in an anime in a long time, and this one's got me pretty captivated. I don't know if it's necessarily great, but it's definitely fun. It's something fun to watch. You can catch 15-minute episodes. You know what I mean? By the time you cut out the intro and the outro and the little thing in the middle. And it's fun. What else have I been doing? I did get this audio equipment. I got it working. I got a mixer and a microphone and an arm, and we're recording on that now. So hopefully it's appeasing to the listeners. And I think that's really about all I've really been up to. And I haven't been doing a whole lot. What do we got next week? What are we gonna be recording about next week?
Well, I was hoping that we'd be able to cover The Shape of Water, but it's not out nationwide for another couple of weeks, so we're going to have to wait on that one. I think next week is The Disaster Artist, James Franco. I mean, I'm going to see it one way or another. I guess whether we touch on it or not is I guess perhaps a separate debate.
Did you see the original one?
I did.
How long is that movie?
How long?
Is it a decent? Is it? And 2 hours?
It's not absurdly long or anything. No.
Okay. Well, then I might be able to suffer through it. I don't know where I'll be able to find it out, but.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's your sex life?
So that's what we're talking about. Potentially, we're doing.
You're lying. I did not hit her.
I did not do it. God damn, I don't know if I can watch I might be able to watch the James Franco version, but I don't know if it'll hold any water if I don't understand the source material.
I don't know. I'd be curious. I would say maybe that'd be a fun thing we could do where one of us has seen the room and one of us hasn't, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
That could be a little fun thing to do. Yeah, so that's next week. For this week, thank you for tuning in, listening to us. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Check us out at watchreviewrepeat.com. You can find links to our Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, probably a couple other things on there. Who knows? It's an adventure. You got to take that adventure.
All over the internet.
Yeah, there's so many things. So I'm at Cbro360 on Twitter. You are. Can you say it? Put you on the spot. He has a Twitter. We'll find out what it is. And
I can't remember what it is.
Next week we'll tell you what it is because he doesn't remember what it is right now.
I'm on Facebook.
We did find out that he signed up in 2009. I gave him shit last week. He had a Twitter all along. He just doesn't use it. So
I'll get there. With the.
We're working on it. All right. That will I think cover it for this week's Fine and Dandy episode. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Adios.